Every organism needs food to eat and a place to live. And often, this place and this food is another organism. For instance, if you have ever climbed a tree when you were young, you may have noticed how busy it is up there. There's a bird making a nest, spiders catching flies in their webs, there's ants crawling, there's even some plants up there. And all these organisms live in and around the tree to get their food or to use its structure. And there are many organisms that function the same way as the tree, as a basis for other organisms to build their lives around it. Many plants, of course, but also mussel beds and coral reefs. And these organisms are called foundation species. But what would happen, do you think, if we would cut down this tree and replace it with maybe a concrete tree, so only the structure is left? Which organisms would survive and which would not? And the fact is that ecologists, for the most part, we would not know. We have barely scratched the surface to predict the ways that organisms interact. But we'd better get on with it. Because the facts are that every day real forests are being replaced by concrete jungles. So in my research, I try to find patterns in the ways that organisms interact. And to do that, I look at communities of organisms around these foundation species. For instance, in coastal ecosystems where conditions are ever-changing and life is tough. I try to find out how foundation species help to cope with these stressful environments, and if there are specific groups of organisms that depend on them. And I also do experiments with plastic plants versus real plants to separate their function as a food source from their function as a structure to hide, to breed, or to live in. And then I go back to my computer and I make models to understand how these communities are organized and if there are general rules that apply to all ecosystems. Because when we can find those patterns that make communities stable and resistant to change, we may do a better job protecting them.